Luckily, the man reacted in time, avoiding a fatal outcome. However, little Shuai could never have anticipated that the elegant and imposing wealthy woman would find him here and insistently demand he return to marry her. After 3 years of devoted practice in the temple, little Shuai had long abandoned worldly distractions. Faced with the wealthy woman's relentless pressure, little Shuai's simmering anger finally erupted into action. It was then that the wealthy woman realized the severity of the situation, but it was already too late to turn back. This is truly a thrilling and spectacular movie. Highly recommend everyone to watch the original film, you won't be disappointed. Click on the homepage to watch the rest. Yang Jian lifted a massive 500-gram stone with great effort, solely to alleviate Mazu's suffering from the scorching sun. Since there was no umbrella to provide shade, he resorted to this drastic measure to block the sunlight. Seeing Yang Jian labor so strenuously, his mother was deeply moved and urged him to put down the stone and rest. But how could a man of Yang Jian's stature allow his mother to endure such hardship? He resolutely refused to put the stone down. As the sun's temperature continued to rise, Yang Jian pressed himself closer to his mother. However, he noticed her vitality rapidly fading. Seeing this, he could only plead with the Jade Emperor, begging him to spare his mother for the sake of their former sibling bond. But the Jade Emperor, upon hearing this plea, remained unmoved. The Jade Emperor, instead of showing mercy, ordered an increase in the heat radiated by all golden objects. Seeing the Jade Emperor's inhumanity, Yang Jian was consumed by towering rage. Who dares to kill my mother? He vowed revenge, swearing to eliminate the entire family of those responsible. Under the terrifying heat, his mother was instantly turned into a stone. Witnessing his mother's tragic end, Yang Jian cast aside all hesitation. He lifted the hurled it at the Bestone End in palace. After destroying 9 golden chambers, he took up the divine axe of creation and stormed the heavens. The Jade Emperor, along with the gathered gods, was so terrified that their souls scattered. Shaurya, simply for opening the door and letting the delivery man into her home, became the target of his malicious intent. Taking advantage of her unawareness, he attacked her from behind. Despite her desperate attempts to resist, her efforts were ultimately futile. She couldn't escape the horrific actions of the delivery man. When her husband returned home, cheerful and full of anticipation, he was greeted by the tragic sight of his wife's state. Meanwhile, the delivery man, having achieved his goal, had already fled the scene of the crime in panic. However, what no one expected was, Shaurya not only did not identify the suspect but instead found the entire experience thrilling. Afterward, she began ordering items online every day, with the purpose of having the delivery man come to her house daily. At first, the delivery man was utterly confused by Shaurya's overly warm and friendly behavior. However, over time, he started developing feelings for her. One day, when she handed him a drink, he accepted it and took a sip. The moment he drank it, he felt dizzy and the world began to spin. When he regained consciousness, he found himself tied to an operating table. In 2026, after the Third World War, 2/3 of humanity perished in nuclear explosions. Only a small fraction of people survived. However, what no one expected was that some individuals, who were struck by the nuclear blasts but did not die, mutated into wolf-like creatures. These monsters could not be seen during the day but came out to hunt at night. To avoid their attacks, Kangje and his 2 sons retreated to a secluded forest. One evening, their dog became unusually restless and frightened. Kangje immediately sensed something was wrong and told his sons to prepare for battle. Following their father's orders, Khan took an oil lamp and went downstairs to investigate. Suddenly, he was startled by a noise coming from outside the door. Fortunately, Kangje appeared just in time and held the door firmly, preventing the monsters from breaking in. The next morning, Kangje witnessed a shocking scene. A beautiful woman washed her hands in the river and immediately gained the ability to become invisible. Seeing that no one was around, she decided to remove her clothes and take a swim. At that moment, 2 old Air Force veterans were fishing nearby. They noticed bubbles rising in the water. Excited beyond belief, as they hadn't caught a fish in hundreds of years, one of them cast his line. The force from below was so strong that it knocked the old man to the ground. The other fishermen, initially envious, started laughing at the sight. However, the old man then noticed something terrifying. Footprints appeared on the ground, yet no one was visible. This sight terrified him, and his fishing companion was equally horrified. Both were too scared to move but had no means to escape. Meanwhile, the woman washing her clothes noticed something equally frightening. The clothes she had left under the tree were now being worn by an invisible figure, which then walked upright toward the fisherman. In a sealed chamber that had been hidden for 1,000 years, a demon suddenly broke free from its seal and returned to the human world. A loud noise suddenly woke Shaurya from her dream. She tried to communicate with the demon in an attempt to scare it away, but it had no effect. A wisp of white smoke surged into the living room, climbing the stairs to the second-floor bedroom. Meanwhile, Mei, who was sound asleep in her room, was completely unaware of the approaching demon. The white smoke opened Mei's door and approached her with malicious intent. At that moment, Shaurya suddenly sat up in bed. Sensing the danger her granddaughter was in, she grabbed an exorcism mirror and rushed to Mei's room. But it was already too late. The demon had already planted its seed inside Mei. Realizing the truth, Shaurya was filled with grief and rage. She took the exorcism mirror to the basement, determined to confront the demon. However, her advanced age made her no match for the demon. When Mei arrived in the basement after hearing the commotion, all she found was a strange, eerie symbol. She stepped closer to examine it carefully, but then something terrifying happened. A man named Sangbao suddenly forced another man's hand into a deep fryer, locking it in tightly with immense force. Sangbao dragged the person to a boiling hot oil pot, completely ignoring his desperate pleas. He forced the man's hand into the oil, which was nearly 1,000 degrees. The kitchen was instantly filled with agonizing screams. In the next moment, the man passed out from the unbearable pain. However, Sangbao wasn't satisfied. He brought in the man's companion, opened the oven door, and shoved her inside. When the unconscious cook woke up and saw this scene, he fainted again out of sheer terror. Another thug attempted to ambush Sangbao from behind, but he had anticipated this. He grabbed the thug by the neck and slammed her onto the cutting board. Pouring scalding hot milk into her mouth, he topped it with a scoop of ice cream as if preparing a dessert. Finally, he added a cherry on top, opened a blender, and shoved her head into it, turning it into a gruesome smoothie. Meanwhile, Uncle Long was stunned as a tree stump rose from the ocean. He immediately dove into the water, swimming toward it, only to find that all the gold within the stump had sunk into the sea. Helpless, Uncle Long could only watch the treasure disappear. The group surfaced and, with nothing left but an empty stump, began blaming each other for their failure. As the arguments escalated, a woman interrupted them. She revealed that she had saved the last piece of gold. While everyone celebrated, Uncle Long suddenly feigned a strong gust of wind and devised a cunning plan. He explained that someone had once tried to take the gold to their own country, but no matter where they brought it, it would remain on Earth. With the cooperation of pirates from 7 or 8 nations, they decided to leave the treasure as it was, stored securely like a bank. Everyone applauded Uncle Long's decision, but as soon as the woman turned away, Uncle Long revealed his true intentions. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more thrilling stories.